Hello everyone, my name is Lurid and today I'm going to be talking about drugs. Anyway, it's going to be related to this question on Codechef, which is going to be talking about you or your friend participating in one race which contains n number of people. So your friend is the nth participant and you want him to win by any means possible. So you are deciding to use a performance enhancement drug, and it basically can reduce or improve the quality or the speed of your friend. It's all the details of the question are given below here. First we see the charts. We can see the speeds of all the people in the race, and we can find out if we can win this race without using drugs at all. Then we can see how the drugs affect our player and if it's necessary to use it. And at the end we see the maximum limit of drugs that we can take without being caught. So over here we need to determine whether we can help our friend to win the race with or without drugs without getting caught. So the person who has the maximum speed obviously wins, and if there are people with the same speed and they are tied at first, then nobody wins. So first of all, we look at the input format over here, and it contains a single integer t at the beginning, which will decide the number of test cases. Then we have nkl, which decide each of these things respectively and decides the number of participants. K decides how the drugs affect your speed. L decides the minimum units of the drug that can be detected in the test. And finally we have the last line in this loop, which decides the speeds of each participant. So here we can see that if we do in fact win the race, it'll print out yes, and if we cannot win the race, it'll print out no. We have a while loop which executes t times for the number of test cases. Then we have another while loop inside of that which executes n times, which takes in an input for the speed of each participant over here. So the maximum number of drugs that we can take is actually 1 less than L, because at L, as you can see at the top here, we are actually getting caught, because your friend will be caught if the number of units of drug in his blood is greater than or equal to L, which means that it should be less than L. So the maximum number of drugs that we can take is L minus 1. So we need to have L minus 1 units of blood, drugs in our blood, multiplied by K, only and only if K is positive, because we don't want a drug that actually inhibits our speed or decreases our speed. Because they said over here that K can be negative, which has more side effects than benefits, which is not what we want if this is negative. So we will have to make an if statement over here to see if K is positive, and if it's negative we will not do this, or basically not have drugs. That's pretty much the entire code, and after this we will be checking if our speed after using the drugs or without using the drugs, after the final decisions, we will check if our speed is greater than the speed of every other participant, and if it's not, we will be outputting no, and if it is, then we will be outputting yes. Simple as that. So back to the website, and we see our sample input here. The first thing that we see over here is 3, which is the number of test cases that we have here. The first line is the number of test cases. Next line is going to be N, K, and L, which is the number of participants, the change of, because of the drugs, and the minimum units of drugs that can be detected in the drug test. And that's going to be these numbers here. The one after this is going to be the speed of each participant. It's going to be iterated over these number of times over here. So if we see 4 over here, it's going to be happening 4 times. If it's 3 over here, it's going to be happening 3 times. So we're going to be using this to make our code. So yeah, the first thing that we do is we make our variables over here. So we have 2 while loops. We know that because we iterate twice in this code. So we're going to having I and j, int I comma j for those 2 while loops. We're going to be having t for the number of test cases, n, k, l for the variables in this code, as we can see here, n, k, l, and we're also going to be having s, that is an array, which we're going to be defining separately. int array1 having n number of variables. Right. So we're going to be taking a cn over here, which is going to be giving a value to t, which is the number of test cases, because that's the first thing we want from the user. And with this value of t, we're going to be able to make a while loop which iterates t number of times. And we can do this by starting I at 0 and then making this while loop with I incrementing each time until it reaches t. Okay, so the next thing we do is we get the values for n, k, and l. So we take it cn, n, k, l. Now we have the values of n, k, l. We're going to be making another while loop inside of this, as I said before, which is going to be iterating over n times. So we have j is equal to 0, and we're going to be making a while loop here, which makes j go from 0 all the way to n, and it's going to be incrementing each time it loops. So the next thing that we do once we make this while loop is we get each value of the we get the speeds of each participant in this race, and we put that speed into the array. So we use cn, and we put each value got from cn into array 1 with the index j, and that's going to be this entire loop actually. So the next thing that we do is we check if k is actually positive, and if it is, it means that it does positive things to our participant or our friend. And if it's negative, we should make sure that we don't actually have those drugs. So if k is positive, then we will increase our speed, which I've made a variable for up here. That's going to be our final speed by, and we know that we are the nth participant here, right? So that means that in this entire array we will be the last person on this array, which is the size of the array minus 1. That's the last person. So that is our original speed, and if we add k multiplied by l minus 1, which is the maximum number of drugs that we can take without being caught, and k is how it changes each unit of these drugs. So once we get this is our final speed, and this is going to be positive. It's going to be more than the original speed because k is positive. In any other case, we will not have these because that, oh god, what's that? We will not have those because it's going to decrease our speed. So we're going to leave our speed at array 1 in brackets or indices n minus 1. We're going to leave it at that. We'll put those semicolons at the end. Now finally, we're going to be checking if our final speed is going to be greater than every other participant, and strictly greater because we want it to be more than every other participant, because if it's not, if it's equal to another participant, we are not going to be winning the race, because as stated here, if more than one people with are there with a maximum speed, they tie at first place and nobody wins. And we're going to be checking if everyone in this array over here has a speed lower than us, and if it is, then we're going to be giving out a true value, and if it's not, then we're going to be giving out a false value. Now we know that's going to be a true or false value, so we're going to be making a boolean data type. We're going to be giving it any name like flag. Flag is going to be true until it reaches a false, until it becomes false later in the code. And we're going to be making it false if we are slower than any other participant or equal to the speed of any other participant. We're going to be iterating over this array 1 using a for loop, and we're going to be using j for, we're going to be iterating from the end of the list, that is j is equal to n minus 2. We're going to be excluding ourselves because n minus 1 is our own speed. So we're going to be excluding that, remove that, and we're going to be doing this list as long as it's over 0, over or equal to 0, and j will be decreasing each time. It's a loop from the end of the array. Actually, we don't even need these brackets here. If our speed is less than or equal to array 1 and j. let's just say there's three people. We're going to be the third person. Here it's going to check if the second person is equal to or greater than our speed. And if it is, it's going to be making the flag false, which means that we are not faster than them. And it's going to remain true as long as it doesn't hit this. So as long as it doesn't hit this, we know that we are faster than everyone else. And so we can say that this is the entire loop actually. This is the entire thing, which checks if we are faster than everyone else. So as long as flag is true, we're going to be executing cout, which says yes, and escape character for a new line, because why not? And in any other case, which is false, it can't really be anything else. It's going to be executing cout no, and it does a good old new line again at the end. So that's the entire code, if I'm not wrong. If we execute this and just try putting the sample input that we have here in this code, and as you can see, we get the output yes, no, and no, which is the same as the sample output right here. So as long as we put this into the Codechef IDE and check and submit it over here, we'll be able to see if it's right or wrong. As we can see, we've got the correct answer here and proves that everything is right. So this is the first time I've been on this channel, the Seldom Funny Introvert channel, and if you like what you saw, then like, then subscribe and stuff. And it's the first time I've been doing this, so if you have any criticism for me, I'll gladly appreciate it and accept it with all my heart, and I'll try to improve on that. So, well, that's it. Goodbye.